Okay, so today we're going deep on something pretty wild, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Digital nostalgia.
hmm
And it's really fascinating how AI is being used to kind of like revive old photos and videos and even memories.
Yeah, and in ways that, I mean, just a few years ago, we would have thought were pure science fiction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Imagine seeing your great-grandmother
uh-huh.
from like a photo in 1910 and she like blinks,
Right.
or hearing your childhood dog bark again
Yeah.
through AI. It's really changing how we think about the past.
It really is like a fundamental shift in how we experience what's gone by, you know?
Exactly, and that's what we're going to kind of unpack in this deep dive.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, for a long time, our connection to the past was really like physical, right?
Yeah.
Like photo albums, those grainy photos,
hmm
home movies gathering dust,
Yeah.
maybe some old audio cassettes.
Right.
But AI is totally changing that.
Yes.
It's like we're going from these static snapshots to something that feels much more alive.
Yeah, like those old photos are suddenly dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, they're not just frozen moments anymore.
Exactly. And I think a lot of that started with those AI-powered photo restoration tools.
Oh, absolutely. Things like My Heritage and Remini.
Right.
They just blew up
Yeah, they were huge.
because they could take these old damaged photos and sharpen them and even add color.
Yeah, it was like matches.
It was. And suddenly these moments that had been faded and kind of lost their vibrancy,
Yeah.
they came back to life. You know, you could see a faint smile reappear or a glint in someone's eye.
It was really cool.
It was like unlocking a hidden layer of the past.
And then things got even crazier with the animation of still images,
Oh, yeah.
like deep nostalgia from My Heritage.
Right.
They could take an old portrait of like your great grandfather
Uh-huh.
and make him move his head and blink.
It was mind-blowing.
It was kind of creepy too, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
Some people found it unsettling.
But definitely captivating.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And it makes you wonder, like, what is it about this that draws us in so much?
Right. Why this fascination with bringing the past back to life like this?
Well, you know, I think it has a lot to do with how we're wired as humans. Our
Okay.
memories aren't just data points, you know, they're part of who we are.
Yeah.
They shape our identity and give our lives context.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's world where everything's so fast-paced and overwhelming,
Right.
that connection to our past can be really grounding.
It's like an anchor.
Exactly. It gives us a sense of belonging and continuity.
Yeah, and these AI tools are almost like they're giving us a chance to not just observe the past,
Right.
but to actually re-engage with it.
Yeah, to relive moments, to connect with people we thought were lost forever.
And the tech behind all of this is pretty mind-blowing too.
Oh, it's incredibly sophisticated.
Mhm.
It's all based on something called generative AI,
Okay.
which is basically AI that can create new content based on what it's learned.
Wow, so it's not just analyzing data.
No, it's actually using that data to imagine and create something entirely new.
And the key to a lot of this is something called GANs.
Right. Generative adversarial networks.
Okay, so how do these GANs actually work? Like, how do they bring these old photos back to life?
Well, let's take photo restoration, for example.
Okay.
So the AI is trained on huge data sets of images,
Mhm.
some damaged, some pristine,
Okay.
and it learns to recognize patterns of degradation like tear scratches fading.
Right.
But crucially, it also learns what those images should look like based on all the undamaged ones it's seen.
So it's like it's filling in the blanks based on its knowledge of what a similar image should look like.
Exactly. And that's where the GANs come in. They're able to imagine and recreate those missing parts in a way that makes sense.
That's so cool.
It's not just patching things up. It's using its understanding of visual data to make an educated guess.
So what about colorization? How does AI bring color to those old black and white photos?
That's another amazing application. So it uses something called neural networks, which are designed to recognize complex patterns.
Uh-huh.
And these networks are trained on massive libraries of old color photographs.
Wow.
So they learn the color palettes that were typical for different time periods and subjects.
So like it knows what a dress from the 1920s should look like.
Right, exactly. And when you feed it a black and white image,
Yeah.
it analyzes the shades of gray and the content.
Mm-hmm.
And then it applies the most likely colors based on its training.
It's like it's learned the language of color from the past.
Exactly. And it can speak that language to bring these old photos to life in full color.
And then there's facial animation, which still feels so futuristic to me.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Like, how does it make those faces move?
Well, again, it's all about training. So they use these sophisticated models that have been trained on tons of video footage, and they capture all the nuances of human facial expressions.
Okay.
So the AI analyzes the static image,
Yeah.
identifies the key features, and then applies subtle movements like a blink, a turn of the head, a slight smile.
And it knows how to do that because it's seen so many real faces moving.
Precisely. It's learned the patterns of human expression.
And then there's face recreation. This one's especially poignant, I think.
Oh, absolutely. The ability to hear a loved one's voice again.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff. And that's where text-to-speech AI comes in.
Yeah.
Systems like 11 Labs or Resemble.ai, they can analyze a person's voice from even a short recording.
Oh, wow.
And they capture all the unique characteristics, their tone, their rhythm, their accent.
Like a voice print?
Exactly. And once they have that voice print, they can synthesize speech in that voice from any text you give them.
So you could literally have a conversation with a voice from the past.
In a way, yes, it's about capturing the essence of a person's voice and bringing it back to life.
So it seems like we're moving from these static representations of the past to these really dynamic experiences.
Yeah, we're going beyond just seeing and hearing to something much more immersive.
Is this like the peak of digital nostalgia, or is there more to come?
Oh, there's definitely more on the horizon.
Like what?
Well, we're already starting to see the development of 3D avatars of people who have passed away.
Wow.
And these go beyond just simple animation. They combine visual data from photos and videos, auditory data from voice recordings, and even information about their mannerisms from old home movies.
So it's like a digital ghost of someone.
In a sense, yes. It's an attempt to create a more complete and interactive representation.
That's both fascinating and a little eerie.
It is. It raises a lot of questions.
But it's also really powerful, and this isn't just theoretical, right?
Oh, no, not at all. There are real people using this technology in really moving ways.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. There was a father in Canada who used AI to animate baby photos of his daughter who had passed away.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't about creating a perfect replica.
Yeah.
It was about seeing her smile again, about feeling that connection.
That's beautiful.
And there was a grandson of a Holocaust survivor who brought an old family photo to life, and he was able to see his grandfather move and look around.
Wow.
Decades after he had passed away.
That's incredible.
And then you have the musician who recreated his bandmate's voice
Yeah, I heard about that.
to finish a song they had started together.
Yeah, it was a really powerful story.
It was a way for him to find closure and honor his friend's memory.
These stories show that this technology is more than just a novelty.
It really is. It's a tool for healing and remembrance.
Yeah, it allows people to reconnect with loved ones and preserve their memory in a whole new way.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual memories either.
Right. What about the broader cultural implications?
Well, AI is playing a huge role in preserving cultural heritage, too.
How so?
Well, think about old recordings of traditional music or ancient languages. AI can restore those recordings and even bring back lost dialects.
That's amazing.
It's a way of capturing the emotional and cultural significance of these artifacts.
So digital nostalgia is about more than just personal memories.
Right. It's about preserving our shared history and cultural identity.
And it's doing that in ways that traditional methods sometimes can't.
Exactly.
But with all this potential for good, there must be some downsides too, right?
Of course, like any powerful technology, there are potential pitfalls.
Okay, so what are some of the ethical considerations we need to be thinking about,
Well, one big one is the use of personal data.
right? Like who owns these digital likenesses?
Exactly, especially when it comes to people who are no longer alive.
Yeah, can we animate them without their consent?
That's a big question. And what about the potential for manipulation?
Right, like deepfakes.
Exactly the same technology that can restore a photo can also be used to create fake videos.
And that could really distort our understanding of history.
It could. And what about the impact on the grieving process?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Could interacting with digital recreations of loved ones actually hinder the natural grieving process?
Like prevent people from moving on.
Potentially, yes. It's something we need to be mindful of.
So are there any solutions being discussed to address these concerns?
Well, there's a growing push for transparency,
Okay.
making sure people know when something has been AI enhanced.
So like a label that says this image has been altered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way people can make informed decisions about what they're seeing and hearing.
That makes sense. And what else?
Well, there's also talk of digital consent,
Okay.
like allowing people to specify how their digital data can be used after they die.
So like a digital will.
But giving people control over their digital afterlife.
That's a really interesting concept. So looking ahead, what does the future hold for our relationship with memory?
Well, I think things are going to get even more immersive.
How so?
Well, we're already seeing the convergence of AI with virtual reality.
VR.
Yeah, imagine putting on a VR headset and stepping into a digital recreation of your childhood home.
Wow.
Based on old photos and maybe even 3D modeling.
That would be incredible.
And not just the visuals. The sounds, the smells, even tactile sensations.
It'd be like stepping back in time.
It would. And with wearable AI.
Like smart glasses and stuff.
Yeah, we could be recording our lives constantly.
So we'd never forget anything.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
But that raises another question.
What's that?
If AI is doing all the remembering for us, what happens to our own memory skills?
Do we become too reliant on technology?
It's a possibility, but there's another way to look at it.
Okay.
Maybe AI can actually help us remember better.
How so?
Well, it can preserve not just the facts of our lives,
Yeah.
but also the emotions, the stories, the meaning.
So it's not just about remembering what happened.
No, it's about remembering how it felt.
That's deep. So as we wrap up this deep dive on digital nostalgia, what's the big takeaway?
I think it's about our relationship with time.
Oh, okay.
And our desire to hold on to the past in a world that's constantly changing.
Especially with technology evolving so rapidly.
Exactly.
And AI isn't here to replace our memories.
No.
It's here to help us preserve them.
Right, to give them new life and meaning.
And to maybe even help us understand them better.
It's an exciting and a little bit scary time.
It is, but it's definitely a time full of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into digital nostalgia.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners out there, as you navigate this new world of memory, hold on to the richness of your past and the power of your imagination.
Well said.
Thanks for listening.
And thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.